Welcome to this journey of transformation and inner peace. Today we're going to talk about a topic that touches the lives of millions of people around the world: anxiety. But I want to begin by saying something fundamental that needs to be clear in your heart from the very start. Anxiety is not weakness. Anxiety is not a sign that you're weak, inadequate, or not enough. In fact, anxiety is often the result of a heart that is tired, worn out from carrying the weight of tomorrow on its back. It's as if we're trying to live all our future days today, carrying worries that haven't even happened yet, fears of situations that may never actually come true. How many nights have you spent awake, mind racing, thinking about everything that could go wrong? How many times has your heart raced just imagining scenarios your mind created, but that reality hasn't confirmed? If you've been through that, know that you are not alone. And more importantly, there is a way out, a path to peace. Today, before you end the day, before you lay your head on your pillow, I want to invite you to do something different. Together, let's place all that weight, all those worries, all that anxiety, into God's hands. Let's end this day in true peace, the kind of peace that surpasses all human understanding. Stay with me until the end of this journey. When we're done, I will say a short but powerful prayer, a blessing over your rest, your life, and everything that has been heavy on your heart. This is not just a conversation about anxiety. It is an encounter with the source of true peace. Let me share with you the fundamental truth that sustains everything we'll talk about today. Nothing can separate me from God's care. Absolutely nothing. Not anxiety, not fear, not difficult circumstances, not past mistakes, not future uncertainties. Nothing has the power to pull me away from the safety of His care. This is the truth I rest in. This is the certainty that renews me every day. When my mind races in 1,000 different directions, when my thoughts run into each other, I remember a transformative truth. He sees me as holy, not because of my merits, not because of my perfection, but because of His immeasurable grace. When fear tries to grow inside of me, when it starts expanding and threatens to take over my heart, I make a conscious choice. I let it go. I release the fear and allow peace to come in. Because peace is not just the absence of problems. Peace is the presence of God in the midst of the storms. Guilt is a frequent visitor in our lives, isn't it? It knocks on the door of the heart insistently, reminding us of every mistake, every failure, every moment we weren't who we should have been. But here's a liberating truth. When guilt comes knocking, I can welcome the forgiveness that sets the heart free. Forgiveness isn't just a distant theological concept. It's a practical reality that transforms our daily lives. Every time guilt tries to imprison me, I remember that there is forgiveness available. A forgiveness that not only covers my mistakes, but removes them completely, that restores me and renews me. If the night stretches on and sleep doesn't come, if you find yourself lying in the dark with a racing mind and an unsettled heart, know what to do. Turn on the light of hope and wait for the morning to arrive. Because morning always comes, always. No matter how long the night is, no matter how dark the early hours may seem, dawn always breaks on the horizon. Hope isn't empty optimism or naive illusion. Hope is the certainty that God is in control, that He is faithful, that His purposes never fail. When we turn on the light of hope in the middle of the darkest night, We are declaring that we trust in God's faithfulness, even when we can't see the path ahead. When anxiety tightens its grip, when you feel that pressure in your chest, that lump in your throat, that sensation that the walls are closing in around you, do the following. Name what you're feeling. Say out loud, I am anxious. I am afraid. I am worried. There is power in naming our emotions. When we bring our feelings into the light, when we acknowledge and express them, they lose part of their power over us. And then, after naming what we feel, we can trust in the arms that hold us up. We can rest in the certainty that we are not alone in this battle. If your thoughts are colliding in your mind like cars on a congested highway, if everything feels confusing and chaotic, there is a simple yet profound solution. Place each thought before the love of God, one by one, not in a tangled pile, but intentionally with order. Imagine that you are taking each worry, each fear, each anxiety, and placing them into God's hands as gifts you're handing to a loving Father. You don't have to solve everything on your own. You don't need to have all the answers. You only need to trust the one who does. When the future feels closed off, when you look ahead and can't see any way out, any possibility, any path, do this. Walk today with small steps. Don't try to solve your whole life at once. Don't try to plan the next 10 years when you're barely able to handle today. Take one step at a time. A small step, but a real one. A movement toward hope, toward life, toward peace. Because that's how great journeys are completed, not with giant leaps, but with consistent steps, one after another. If the past hurts, if there are old memories that still bring tears, that still cause pain in your heart, allow God to heal those old memories. You don't have to stay stuck in what has already happened. You don't have to relive yesterday's wounds endlessly. Healing is available. Restoration is possible. Painful memories don't have to keep defining who you are today. God can touch those wounded places in your heart and bring balm, bring relief, bring renewal. When you fail, and you will because we all fail, do this. Start again without accusing your own soul. Don't become your own harshest judge. Don't turn every mistake into a death sentence over your worth and identity. Failing doesn't mean you are a failure. Making mistakes doesn't mean you are a mistake. You are human, and being human means that sometimes we stumble, sometimes we fall, sometimes we miss the mark. But we can always get up and start again. There is always a new opportunity to try once more. When the headlines feel heavy, when the news of the world seems overwhelming, when it feels like there is nothing but tragedy and chaos around us, make an intentional choice. Keep your mind on words of life. Don't ignore reality, but don't allow constant negativity to dominate your thoughts. There is a difference between being informed and being overwhelmed by the flood of bad news. You can know what's happening in the world without letting it destroy your inner peace. Consciously choose where you place your attention, where you focus your mental and emotional energy. If your body is tired, if you feel the fatigue in every muscle, in every cell, honor your limits. Receive yourself with gentleness. We live in a culture that glorifies exhaustion, that treats tiredness like a badge of honor. But that's not wisdom. That's foolishness. Your body is not a machine that can run indefinitely without rest. You were created with a need for pause, for renewal, for restoration. When you honor those limits, when you rest without guilt, You're not being lazy, you're being wise. When answers are scarce, when you pray and it seems like nothing changes, when you seek direction and everything feels confusing, remain grounded in the promise that does not change. Circumstances change, feelings change, situations change. But God's faithfulness remains constant. There are promises in God's word that are solid as rock, unshakable, unfailing. When everything around you is shifting, when everything seems uncertain, you can anchor yourself in those unchanging promises. They are your solid foundation in times of instability. If loneliness surrounds you, if you feel isolated and disconnected, pay attention to the quiet presence of God. He is there, even when you don't feel Him. He is present, even when He seems absent. He is near, even when you feel far away. Loneliness can be overwhelming, especially in a world so digitally connected, yet so emotionally disconnected. But there is a presence that never abandons us, a companionship that never leaves us. When you become aware of that quiet yet real presence, loneliness loses its sting. When irritation tries to take over, when you feel that tension rising, that impatience taking hold, choose the gentleness that calms. This is a choice, not a feeling. You may not feel like being kind, but you can choose to act with kindness. Kindness has a transformative power, not only over others, but over ourselves. When we choose to respond with kindness instead of irritation, when we choose patience over anger, something changes within us. Our heart settles, our perspective expands, our peace deepens. If comparison hurts, if you look at others and feel inadequate, insufficient, behind in life, celebrate the path that was given to you. Your path is unique. Your journey is one of a kind. You are not competing with anyone. You are living the life that was designed specifically for you. Comparison is truly the thief of joy. When we compare our lives to others, especially to the filtered, edited versions we see on social media, we rob ourselves of the ability to appreciate the beauty and purpose of our own journey. When mistakes confuse you, when you don't understand how you could have failed like that, learn from them and move forward with a lighter heart. Mistakes are teachers, not executioners. They are not here to destroy us, but to instruct us. Every mistake carries a lesson. Every failure offers an opportunity for growth. When you learn from your mistakes instead of becoming paralyzed by them, you turn failures into springboards for success. You turn stumbles into dance steps on the journey of life. If doors close, and they will, look for windows you hadn't seen before. Sometimes God closes doors because there is a better path available. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually protection. Sometimes the no we receive is directing us toward a much greater yes. When a door closes in your face, don't keep staring at the closed door. Look around. Look for the windows. Search for alternative possibilities. Many times there are opportunities we never would have noticed if the closed doors hadn't forced us to look in other directions. When doubts arise, when you question whether God is really present, whether He really cares, remember His faithfulness from yesterday. Look back on your journey. Recall the moments when He provided. Remember the times He held you up. Review the occasions when He opened paths where there were none. God's past faithfulness is the guarantee of His future faithfulness. He does not change. What He was yesterday, He is today and will be tomorrow. When you remember how faithful He has been before, you find the courage to trust Him now. If your heart races, If you feel that familiar surge of anxiety, repeat internally this powerful truth: His peace guards me. The peace of God is not just a pleasant feeling. It is a protective force that guards our heart and mind. This peace acts as a guardian, a protector, a fortress around our thoughts and emotions. When we allow this peace to rule in our hearts, anxiety loses its strength, fear loses its power, worry loses its influence. When the mind demands control, when you feel that compulsive need to have everything planned, to predict every possibility, to control every variable, let go and walk in trust. Control is, for the most part, an illusion. We control far less than we like to admit. There is freedom in letting go of control. There is peace in trusting that someone greater than us is running the universe. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to manage every detail. You can trust and rest. If tears fall, let them water seeds of life. Tears are not a sign of weakness. They are evidence that you are human, that you feel deeply, that you care intensely. There is healing power in tears. Don't hold your crying back. Don't choke your tears. Allow them to flow. Because just as rain nourishes the earth and makes seeds sprout, your tears can water seeds of hope, healing, and renewal in your life. From crying, joy can bloom. From pain, purpose can be born. When haste hurts, when you're running wildly through life, when everything is urgent and nothing can wait, adopt the pace of patience. Our culture is obsessed with speed, with immediacy, with instant results. But the most valuable things in life require time. Patience is not passivity. It is an active choice to honor the process, to respect the seasons, to allow things to mature in their own time. When you adopt the rhythm of patience, you reduce your stress, protect your health, and increase your effectiveness. If your voice falters, if the words won't come, if you can't express what you feel, believe that He understands the silence. You don't need eloquent words to communicate with God. You don't need sophisticated prayers or impressive religious language. He understands the unspoken groans. He deciphers the silence loaded with emotion. He interprets the prayers that get stuck in our throat. Your heart speaks a language God understands perfectly, even when your mouth can't form the words. When fear paints its scenarios, when your imagination creates catastrophes that haven't happened yet, return to what is real and find care. Fear is a master at creating convincing fiction, projecting terrible futures that will most likely never materialize. Bring yourself back to the present. Ask yourself, what is real right now? What is true in this moment? Most of the time, you'll discover that in the real present, there is more safety than in imagined futures. In the now, there is care available. In the present, there is sufficient grace. If guilt returns disguised, maybe as religious zeal or constructive self-criticism, recognize it and release it without delay. Guilt is cunning. It knows how to disguise itself. It can come dressed as responsibility, as conscience, as spirituality. But guilt is not conviction. Guilt paralyzes. Conviction directs. Guilt condemns. Conviction corrects. Learn to distinguish between the two. And when you recognize guilt, even when it's wearing a pretty mask, reject it. Release it. Don't give it space in your heart. When pride whispers, when you catch yourself rising above others in your heart, choose the humility that heals. Pride is a subtle poison that infects relationships, distorts perspectives, and isolates hearts. True humility isn't thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less often. It's recognizing that you are not the center of the universe, that your needs are not the only ones that matter, that your perspective is not the only valid one. Humility opens doors that pride closes. It heals wounds that pride deepens. If envy tries to enter, if you resent someone else's success, celebrate the good that is blooming in others. Envy is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. It only harms the one who carries it. When you learn to genuinely celebrate the victories of others, something changes within you. You free yourself from the prison of comparison. You expand your capacity for joy. You create an inner environment where your own happiness can grow. Someone else's success does not diminish your possibilities. The universe does not have a limited supply of blessings. When decisions feel heavy, when you stand at a crossroads and don't know which path to take, ask for clear wisdom and move forward. Chronic indecision is a form of torment. It keeps you stuck, paralyzed, unable to make progress. Wisdom is not having all the information. It's knowing how to use the information you have. When you ask God for wisdom, He promises to give it generously. And then, once you've sought wisdom, make a decision and move. Even an imperfect decision followed by action is better than theoretical perfection followed by paralysis. If hope weakens, if you feel that sense of hopelessness settling in, remember the small miracles of the day. Not every miracle is dramatic. Not every blessing is obvious. There are small miracles happening around you all the time. The sunrise is a miracle. Your heart beating without you having to think about it is a miracle. The ability to breathe, to think, to feel, to love, all of this is miraculous. When you train your eyes to see the small miracles, hope is renewed. Gratitude grows. Life gains new meaning. When exhaustion darkens everything, when life feels colorless and lifeless because of fatigue, receive the comfort that revives. You don't have to remain in that state of depletion. There is comfort available. Renewal is possible. This comfort comes in many forms. Proper rest, fellowship with people who build us up, moments in the presence of God, activities that restore our soul. Don't resist comfort. Don't reject it because you think you don't deserve it or don't have time for it. Allow yourself to be comforted, restored, revived. If old memories call for attention, if the past keeps ringing the doorbell of your present, let Him arrange them. Some memories are disorganized in our minds, creating confusion and pain. Traumatic memories that need to be processed. Painful recollections that need healing. God can touch those memories. He can reorganize them, restore them, heal them. He doesn't erase the past, but He can change how you relate to it. He can bring perspective, understanding, and even redemption to the most painful experiences of your life. When external noise invades, when the world is too loud and too chaotic, seek the silence that strengthens. We live in a noisy world. There is constant sound, notifications, alerts, conversations, music, traffic, technology. But there is an inner silence you can cultivate, a place of stillness within you where the noise of the world cannot enter. This silence is not empty. It is filled with the presence of God. It is in this silence that you find strength, clarity, and peace. Make silence a regular habit, a constant refuge. If your heart closes, if you build walls to protect yourself from pain but end up isolating yourself from love, ask for a bridge and cross it with courage. Closed hearts are protected hearts, but they are also impoverished hearts. They keep pain out, but they also keep joy out. Opening your heart again after being hurt requires tremendous courage, but it is worth it. Calculated vulnerability, careful openness, the willingness to risk again, these are the doors to deep connections, to genuine love, to abundant life. From God's care, nothing can separate me. This truth deserves to be repeated, deepened, engraved in the heart. Paul wrote in Romans that neither death nor life, nor angels nor rulers, nor the present nor the future, nor powers, nor height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation can separate us from the love of God. This means that no matter what you've done, where you are, or what you are facing, you cannot be separated from God's love and care. This truth is your anchor in any storm, your foundation in any earthquake, your certainty in any uncertainty. He lifts up the one who has fallen. If you stumbled, if you fell, if you are on the ground right now, know this: God is in the business of lifting the fallen. He does not trample those already on the ground. He extends his hand. He offers support. He restores and renews. No matter how many times you fall, you can rise again, fearlessly, and continue. Because you are not getting up on your own. There are divine hands lifting you, heavenly strength sustaining you, eternal love pushing you forward. When discouragement comes, and it will, lift your eyes and find direction. Discouragement has a way of making you look down, fixing your gaze on your feet, on your immediate circumstances, on your recent failures. But when you lift your eyes, when you look beyond your present circumstances, when you fix your gaze on the horizon of God's faithfulness, you find direction again. You gain perspective. You see that there is a path ahead, even when the current stretch is difficult. When your strength runs out, and it will, because you are human and limited, ask for His strength and proceed gently. There is a source of strength beyond your own, a reservoir of power beyond your personal resources. When you acknowledge your weakness and ask for help, you are not being defeatist. You are being realistic. And God delights in strengthening the weak, empowering the weary, and sustaining those who recognize their need for Him. In that same faith, write, "I trust," and leave your request. Faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the choice to trust despite the doubt. Faith does not mean you have all the answers. It means you trust the one who does. When you declare, "I trust," you are making a powerful choice. You are deciding to place your weight not on your own limited abilities, but on the limitless faithfulness of God. And then you can bring your requests, your needs, your desires with confidence, knowing they are being heard by someone who cares deeply. If your mind manufactures what-ifs, if you are trapped in an endless cycle of worrying about future possibilities, choose the now of trust. The what-ifs are infinite. You could spend your entire life imagining everything that could go wrong. But the now is where you have power. The now is where you can make choices. The now is where God's grace meets you. When you choose to be present in this moment instead of lost in imagined futures, you find a peace that was unavailable while you were mentally living in hypothetical tomorrows. When tears threaten, when you feel that tightness in your throat, that burning in your eyes, let them fall and wash the pain away without shame. There is something deeply healing about crying. Tears carry emotional toxins. They release stored-up tension. They express what words cannot. Crying is not weakness. It is courage. It is the courage to feel deeply, to not suffocate your emotions, to be honest about your pain. Do not be ashamed of your tears. Let them do their healing work. Let them wash the pain and prepare the ground for renewal. If the road seems long, if the destination feels too far away, if you can't imagine how you're going to get there, go step by step without rushing. The longest journeys are completed one step at a time. There is no other way. When you focus on the entire distance, you overwhelm yourself. But when you focus only on the next step, the task becomes manageable. Don't worry about how you will complete the whole journey. Just take the next step, and then the next, and then the next. Eventually, you'll look back and be amazed at how far you've come. When the day ends, surrender what you lived and rest safely. There is a powerful practice in making a conscious review of the day before going to sleep. Not a critical analysis where you judge yourself harshly for every mistake, but a confident surrender where you place everything that happened into God's hands. The victories of the day? Surrender them with gratitude. The failures of the day? Surrender them with the confidence that there is mercy. The words you said? The actions you took? The opportunities you missed? Surrender it all. You don't need to carry the weight of the entire day into the night. You can rest safely, knowing that God is taking care of everything. If the early hours wake you with restlessness, if you find yourself awake in the middle of the night with a racing heart and an agitated mind, whisper, "You are with me." Those difficult early morning moments, when the darkness feels darker and fears seem bigger, are perfect moments to remind yourself of God's constant presence. You're not alone in that dark room. You're not abandoned in those quiet hours. The same presence that is with you in the bright day is with you in the shadowed dawn. When you whisper, "You are with me," you activate an awareness of that presence, and it brings peace even in the most restless night. When dawn arrives, give thanks and begin again with lightness. Every new day is a new opportunity. Every morning is a blank page. You are not stuck in yesterday's failures. You are not limited by past mistakes. You have the chance to begin again. Start the day with gratitude. Before checking your phone, before thinking about your to-do list, before worrying about everything you need to do, simply give thanks. Thank God for the gift of another day. Thank Him for the opportunity to live, to grow, to try again. That morning attitude of gratitude sets the tone for the whole day. Over my family, I pray for protection and for a peace that unites. Family is one of the greatest gifts God gives us, but it can also be one of the greatest sources of worry. We worry about our children, our parents, our spouses, our siblings. But there is a God who loves your family even more than you do. He cares about each member. He sees every need. You can entrust your loved ones to His care. Pray for protection over them. Not just physical protection, but emotional, spiritual, and mental protection. Pray for peace that unites, peace that heals divisions, that softens conflicts, that strengthens bonds. Over my work, I ask for meaning and balance. Work occupies a significant portion of our lives. If you spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week working, and that work has no meaning, it will drain your soul. Ask God to infuse your work with meaning. Even in the most mundane tasks, there can be purpose. Even in the simplest jobs, there can be dignity. But also ask for balance. Work is important, but it is not everything. You were not created solely to work. You need time for relationships, for rest, for renewal. Seek that balance actively. Over my health, I trust the timing of healing. Health is precious, and when it is compromised, everything else is affected. If you are struggling with physical, emotional, or mental health issues, know that there is hope for healing. But healing is usually not instant. It has its own timeline. You may pray today and be healed tomorrow, but healing may also be a long, gradual process that requires patience and perseverance. Trust God's timing. He is not late. He has not forgotten you. He is working in ways you may not see yet. When the path splits, I choose truth and simplicity. Life is full of choices. Constantly, we find ourselves at crossroads, having to decide which direction to take. When you're unsure, here's a guiding principle. Choose truth and simplicity. Choose truth, even when a lie would be more convenient. Choose honesty, even when deception would be easier. And choose simplicity. Our culture glorifies complexity, but often the simplest option is the wisest one. Don't complicate things unnecessarily. Look for clarity, simplicity, straightforward truth. If the fear of the future speaks loudly, I remember that He is already ahead. One of the greatest fears we face is the fear of the unknown. The future is uncertain, and that uncertainty can be terrifying. But here is a comforting truth. God is already in your future. He is not here in the present, trying to figure out how to handle what's coming next. He's already there. He has already seen every challenge you will face. He has already prepared provision for every need you will have. You are walking toward a future where God is already present, working, preparing the way. When faith feels small, I offer the little I have and continue with confidence. Maybe you feel like your faith isn't enough. Maybe you look at other people who seem to have such strong, great faith, and you feel inadequate with your tiny bit of faith. But Jesus said that faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. You don't need massive faith. You just need genuine faith, however small it may be. Offer God the faith you have, not the faith you wish you had. Bring your small faith and trust that He can do great things with it. Today, I let go of useless weights and keep only what's essential. We all carry things we shouldn't be carrying, worries that aren't ours, responsibilities that weren't given to us, guilt that has already been forgiven, resentment from old offenses. Today, take a mental inventory. What are you carrying? What is essential and what is useless? Identify the useless weights, those worries that change nothing, those anxieties that only drain your energy, those resentments that only poison your heart, and let them go. Simply release them. Keep only what is essential. Today, I choose gratitude, even without understanding everything. We don't always understand why things happen the way they do. There are mysteries in our lives that may never be explained on this side of eternity, and that's okay. You can choose gratitude even when you don't have all the answers. You can give thanks even when you don't understand, because gratitude doesn't depend on complete understanding. It depends on a basic trust that God is good and is working for good, even when you can't see how. Today, I remain in the peace that surpasses worry. Paul writes about the peace of God that surpasses all understanding. It's a peace that doesn't make sense based on circumstances. It's a peace that persists even when logically you should be anxious. This peace is not something you create. It's something you remain in. It's like stepping into a river of peace that is already flowing and simply letting yourself be carried by it. You don't have to generate peace through willpower. You just have to remain in the peace God has already provided. May my mind rest. May my heart soften. May my steps find harmony. These are simple yet profound prayers. A resting mind isn't constantly spinning, analyzing, or worrying. A softened heart isn't hardened by hurt, bitterness, or cynicism. Steps that find harmony move in sync with God's rhythm, not rushing ahead, not lagging behind. Pray these simple prayers over your life. Invite God to bring rest to your mind, gentleness to your heart, and harmony to your steps. Then pay attention as He answers these prayers in surprising and wonderful ways. May His presence surround me. There's a verse that says God surrounds us with songs of deliverance. Imagine being completely encircled by God's presence. Above you, below you, to your right, to your left, in front of you, behind you. Nothing but God's presence. No anxiety can penetrate that circle. No fear can break through that barrier. When you are surrounded by God's presence, you are in a zone of absolute safety. This isn't just a beautiful image, it's a spiritual reality you can experience. May His love bring order to what's been chaotic. Life can get messy, can't it? Relationships get complicated. Priorities get scrambled. Values get distorted. Our hearts become disordered, with misdirected affections and divided loyalties. But God's love has an organizing power. It can take chaos and create order. It can take confusion and bring clarity. When you allow God's love into the messy areas of your life, He begins to put things in their proper place. May His peace dwell within me. There's a difference between peace visiting you occasionally and peace making its home in you permanently. When peace dwells, it settles in. It's not a passing visitor. It's a permanent resident. Invite God's peace to make its home in you. Not just for a quick visit in the midst of a crisis, but to stay, to settle, to establish residence. When peace dwells in you, you carry a sanctuary of calm wherever you go. I don't need to control what God already governs. This is a liberating principle. God is already governing the universe. He doesn't need your help. He doesn't need you to manage everything. He doesn't need you to worry about every little detail. When you try to control what God already rules over, you only exhaust yourself. It's like trying to hold back the ocean with your hands. Impossible and frustrating. But when you acknowledge that God is already in charge, you can relax. You can let go. You can trust. I breathe and I trust. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is simply breathe. When you're anxious, your breathing becomes shallow and fast. When you're afraid, you may even hold your breath without realizing it. Breathing deeply and deliberately is an act of faith. It's a physical reminder to your body and mind that you are safe, that you can relax, that you can trust. So breathe. Breathe deeply. And as you do, make it a prayer. I trust. I trust. I trust. I release what tightens inside and let calm visit me. We all carry internal tensions. Muscle tension, yes, but also emotional and spiritual tensions. There are things that constrict inside us: worries, fears, anger, resentment, anxieties. Imagine noticing each of these tensions and consciously letting them go, like opening clenched fists, one finger at a time, and dropping what you were holding. Then, in the space created by that release, invite calm to enter. Calm cannot come in while you are holding on to tension, but when you let go, You make room for calm to visit. I release the hidden plan and welcome the care that never fails. We all have plans for our lives. Some are clear, others are hidden even from ourselves. Plans for how things should be, where we should be by now, how our lives should look. But these hidden plans often lead to frustration when reality doesn't match them. What if you let go of these plans? What if you surrendered your expectations for how everything should be, and instead trusted in God's care that never fails? His plan for your life is better than any plan you could make. I accept today's step and stop chasing tomorrow. Many of us live mentally in the future, always thinking about the next step, the next goal, the next milestone. Meanwhile, we miss the life happening right now. Accept today's step. Be present in it. Give it your full attention. Stop chasing tomorrow. Tomorrow will come in its own time, with its own grace. You don't need to live it today. You only need to live today. When my mind tries to predict everything, I remember that He knows the way. Our minds like to have everything planned. We want to foresee every possibility, prepare for every eventuality, anticipate every challenge. It's exhausting, but you don't need to know the whole path. You only need to know the next step, and you are not walking alone. You are walking with someone who knows every inch of the road ahead. He has already been there. He knows where the holes are, where the tight turns are, where the dangers lie. Trust His navigation. If fear invents scenarios, I choose the solid ground of hope. Fear is incredibly creative. It can invent thousands of terrifying scenarios, each one seeming completely plausible and alarming. But most of them never come to pass. Instead of living in fear's fabricated scenarios, choose the solid ground of hope. Hope is not foolish fantasy. It's a confidence rooted in God's character. It's choosing to believe that no matter what happens, God is faithful, God is good, and God is with you. When guilt returns, I receive forgiveness that clears my memory. Guilt has a long memory. It likes to remind us of every mistake we've ever made, every failure we've had, every person we've disappointed. But there is forgiveness available that not only covers our sin, but cleanses our memory. This doesn't mean you forget what you did. It means that memory loses its power to condemn. You can remember without being crushed by shame. You can acknowledge your mistakes without being defined by them. Forgiveness cleanses the toxicity from your memory. If anxiety raises its voice, I make space for peace to speak. Anxiety can be very loud. It shouts, demands attention, insists on being heard. But peace speaks softly. It whispers. It doesn't force its way in. When you intentionally quiet the loud voices of anxiety and make space for peace, when you create a moment of inner silence, peace can be heard. Peace has something to say, but you must be still enough to listen. Share this with someone who needs peace today. Peace is not meant to be hoarded selfishly. It is meant to be shared. When you find peace, when you experience God's comforting care, don't keep it to yourself. There is someone in your life who is struggling today, someone anxious, fearful, overwhelmed. Share this message with them. Be a channel of God's peace to another person. Because when we share peace, it doesn't diminish, it multiplies. I don't need to hold the world in my hands. God sustains it. You are not responsible for keeping the universe running. You don't need to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. That was never your job. God sustains the world. He always has, and He always will. You can release this impossible responsibility. You can trust that God is handling the big things while you focus on the responsibilities He has actually given you. I gather my what-ifs and remain in the now of trust. The what-ifs are scattered everywhere. What if this happens? What if that fails? What if I'm not ready? What if? Gather them all. Bring together every what if that's taking up space in your mind. Then make a deliberate choice. Remain in the now of trust. The now is where you have power. The now is where grace is available. The now is where you can truly live. Let the what-ifs go and stand firmly in present trust. I trade control for simple surrender. Control is a seductive illusion. It seems that if we could just control enough variables, we'd be safe. But the more we try to control, the more anxious we become, because we can never control enough. Simple surrender is the antidote. Not defeatist surrender, but confident surrender. It's saying, I cannot control this, but I know someone who can, and I trust him. There is deep peace in this exchange of control for surrender. I trade hurry for a healing rhythm. Our culture is addicted to hurry. Faster is always better. Efficiency is the ultimate goal. But hurry doesn't heal. It wounds. There is a rhythm that heals. A slower, more deliberate, more present rhythm. It's the rhythm of patience, careful care, mindfulness. When you trade frantic haste for a healing rhythm, you may actually accomplish more, not less, and definitely suffer less damage in the process. When my heart races, I whisper, "You guard me." That familiar surge of panic when your heart speeds up, when adrenaline kicks in, when your body goes into fight or flight mode even when there's no real danger. In that moment, you have a choice. You can panic about panicking, or you can whisper a truth to your own heart. You guard me. Speak to yourself. Remind your racing heart that there is a God who protects you, who is with you, even in this moment of anxiety. If the news feels heavy, I take refuge in His living word. News overload is real. Constant notifications of tragedies, crises, conflicts, disasters. It can be overwhelming. It can drain your peace and fuel your anxiety. There is a refuge available, God's living word. Don't ignore the news entirely, but balance your intake of bad news with immersion in the good news. Spend time in Scripture. Let God's truth counterbalance the world's bad news. Find your refuge there. When I fail, I begin again without accusation. The voice of self-condemnation can be brutal. It doesn't just point out the mistake, it attacks character. It doesn't just say, "You messed up." It says, "You are a mistake." But you can learn to begin again without this vicious accusation. You can acknowledge the error without assassinating your character. You can admit the failure without accepting a verdict of irreparable on your life. Each morning is a new chance to start again, free from accusation. When doors close, I see windows I hadn't noticed before. There's a famous saying, when God closes a door, He opens a window. But sometimes we forget to look for the window. We get so focused on the closed door, so disappointed by the no, that we fail to notice the new opportunities around us. Train your eyes to look for windows. When a door closes, don't just stare at it in sadness. Look around. Actively search for the windows that God may be opening. Windows of opportunity that you would never have noticed if that door hadn't been closed. I don't need to prove anything. I am seen, known, loved. There is tremendous freedom in recognizing that you don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to earn everyone's approval. You are already fully seen by God. Not just seen, but truly known, deeply known, even into the most intimate recesses of your heart. And in that complete knowing, you are loved, not in spite of being known, but precisely because you are known. When this becomes real to you, the need to prove yourself simply dissolves. Irritation loses its power when I choose kindness. Irritation feeds on more irritation. When you respond to someone's irritability with irritability, you only escalate the conflict. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire, but kindness disarms. When you choose to respond with genuine kindness to someone who is being irritating, you break the cycle. You remove the fuel from the fire. Irritation loses its power when faced with sincere kindness. Comparison dissolves when I celebrate who I am. Comparison is an insidious poison. It ensures you always feel inadequate, because there will always be someone doing better in some area. But when you learn to celebrate who you are, your unique journey, your specific gifts, your particular story, comparison loses its grip. You can admire others without diminishing yourself. You can celebrate their success without feeling it somehow subtracts from your value. Pride quiets when I remember where I came from. Pride thrives on amnesia. It forgets where we came from, forgets the grace that brought us here, forgets the people who helped us along the way. But when you deliberately remember your journey, when you reflect on where you started, the hands that lifted you, the grace that sustained you, pride naturally quiets. Humility is not forced. It flows naturally from honest memory. When thoughts spin, I place each one at his feet. Spinning thoughts are exhausting. It's like having a washing machine in your head, swirling the same thoughts over and over without ever reaching a conclusion. There is a simple yet powerful practice. Take each thought as if it were a tangible object and place it at the feet of Jesus. Visualize it. Every worry, every fear, every unanswered question, take it and place it there. You don't need to carry all these spinning thoughts. You can deposit them. If the past shouts, I trust his hand to heal what is behind me. The past can shout loudly. Unresolved traumas, lingering regrets, broken relationships, words you wish you could take back, actions you wish you could undo. But there is a hand that can touch even the past. God cannot change what happened, but he can change what it means. He can bring healing to old wounds. He can bring redemption to past failures. Trust that he is working even in your past. When the future feels frightening, I walk one step at a time. The future can seem terrifying when you try to take it all in at once. When you try to imagine it in its entirety, with all its challenges and uncertainties, it can be paralyzing. But you don't have to face the entire future at once. You only have to take the next step, and then the next. The future, which seems impossible when seen from afar, becomes manageable when approached one step at a time. Each step you take reduces the frightening future into a present, manageable experience. If my strength falters, I ask for yours and continue gently. There is no shame in running out of strength. You are human. You have limits. There will be moments when you simply can't go on. In those moments, borrow strength. Ask God to supply what you do not have. And then continue, but continue gently, not with that harsh determination that ignores your limits. but with a soft perseverance that acknowledges your weakness, yet refuses to give up. I don't have to win alone. You walk with me. The me against the world mindset may seem noble, but it is exhausting and unnecessary. You are not in this struggle alone. You never have been. God walks with you. Every step you take, He is there. Every challenge you face, He faces with you. Every battle you fight, you have a divine ally. You don't have to win alone because you are not alone. The night may be long, but your light knows how to find my room. Some nights feel endless. The darkness feels oppressive. The silence seems deafening. Solitude feels overwhelming. But even in the longest nights, even in the deepest darkness, God's light knows how to find you. It is not stopped by walls. It is not blocked by darkness. It finds its way to your room, to your heart, to your soul. The light always knows where you are. Silence may feel empty, but your presence fills it. Silence can be uncomfortable. When there is no noise to distract, when there are no words to fill the space, we may feel uncomfortably alone with our thoughts. But there is a presence that fills the silence. Silence is not empty when God is present. In fact, often it is in the silence that His presence is most palpable, most real, most comforting. Do not fear the silence. Allow it to be a sacred space where you encounter God. Waiting may tire me, but your faithfulness sustains. Waiting is hard. We live in an age of instant gratification, where everything is a click away. So when we have to wait for healing, for an answer to prayer, for a change in circumstance, it can be extremely difficult. Waiting can tire, can wear you down, can test your patience to the limit. But God's faithfulness sustains you during the wait. He did not promise that waiting would be easy, but He promised that He would be present throughout it. His faithfulness is the strength that keeps you standing when you are weary of waiting. When my mind demands guarantees, I remember your living promises. Our mind wants certainties. It wants guarantees in black and white. It wants to know exactly how everything will unfold. But life rarely offers that kind of certainty. Instead of rigid guarantees, God offers living promises, promises that breathe, that adapt to our specific circumstances, that apply in unique ways to each situation. These living promises are more reliable than any human guarantee because they are sustained by God's unchanging character. If sadness visits, I name the pain and do not hide it. Our culture often encourages us to hide sadness, to wear a happy mask, to pretend everything is okay when it isn't. But there is power in being honest about your sadness. When sadness visits, do not pretend it is not there. Name it. Say, I am sad. Identify the source of the pain. Do not hide or suppress it, because sadness that is acknowledged can be processed. Sadness that is named can be healed. But sadness that is hidden only deepens and festers. When tears fall, they water the soil for new flowers. There is a deep beauty in this image. Your tears are not wasted. They do not fall in vain. Every tear you shed is watering the soil of your soul, preparing it for new growth. The most beautiful flowers often grow in soil that has been watered by many tears. The deepest joy often grows from the ground of processed sadness. Do not fear your tears. Let them do their work, preparing your heart for the new and beautiful things God wants to grow there. If doubt nudges me, I remember the good you have already done. Doubt is persistent. It prods, it questions, it teases. What if God is not really good? What if He does not care? What if He is not really present? When doubt nudges, you have a powerful weapon: memory. Recall the good God has already done in your life. Remember the times He provided. Recall the moments He protected you. Review the occasions when He guided you. God's past goodness is evidence of His present and future goodness. I do not need to control people. I love and leave them in your care. One of our greatest challenges is to love people without trying to control them. We worry about those we love, and that worry can quickly turn into attempts to control their choices, manage their lives, protect them from all pain. But true love liberates. It does not control. You can love deeply and still give freedom. You can care intensely and still trust that God cares for them better than you ever could. Love the people in your life, but leave them in God's hands, not yours. For those I love, I ask for protection and a peace that unites. This is one of the most powerful prayers you can make for the people you love. It is not an attempt to control their lives, but an act of entrusting them to God. Pray for physical, emotional, and spiritual protection over your loved ones. Pray for peace that unites, not just individual peace, but peace that strengthens the bonds between you, that heals divisions, that builds bridges. This prayer acknowledges that you cannot perfectly protect those you love, but you know someone who can. In my choices, I seek clear wisdom. Life is full of decisions, from trivial to life-changing. When facing an important decision, do not rely solely on your own wisdom. Seek God's clear wisdom. This may come through prayer, through reading scripture, through counsel from wise people, or through circumstances God orchestrates. Ask specifically for clarity. God does not delight in keeping us confused. He wants to guide us, and He promises to generously give wisdom to those who ask. In my work, I find purpose and balance. Work is a significant part of life, but it should not be all of life. There are two essential elements for a healthy relationship with work: purpose and balance. Purpose means that your work has meaning, that it contributes to something greater than just a paycheck. Balance means that work does not consume your entire life, that there is room for relationships, rest, and personal growth. Actively pursue both purpose and balance in your professional life. When the road seems narrow, I receive your simple guidance. Sometimes the path ahead feels too narrow, too restricted, too difficult to navigate. You may feel there is no room to maneuver, that a single wrong choice will be catastrophic. But even on the narrowest paths, God offers direction. And often, His guidance is wonderfully simple, not complex, not confusing. Just the next clear step. Receive this simple direction with gratitude, even when the road is narrow. When my body asks for a pause, I receive rest without guilt. Our bodies have wisdom. They know when they need rest. The problem is that our minds often ignore or override these signals, pushing us beyond our limits. When your body asks for a pause, when you feel fatigue, when you notice signs of exhaustion, receive rest without guilt. Rest is not laziness. It is wise stewardship of the body God gave you. You cannot serve effectively with a depleted body. Rest is not an optional luxury. It is a vital necessity. When the mind invents urgencies, I prioritize what matters. We live in a constant state of manufactured urgency. Everything seems urgent. Every notification demands immediate attention. Every email seems to need an instant response. But most of these urgencies are fabricated. They are not truly important. They are just loud. Learn to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important. Then prioritize what truly matters. Some things can wait. Some things, in fact, do not need to be done at all. Focus on what really matters. If the day ends in confusion, I surrender it and sleep safely. Not every day ends well. Some days end in confusion, with unresolved problems, difficult conversations still pending, more questions than answers. On those days, you can still sleep in peace. How? By surrendering the confusion. You do not need to solve everything before bed. You can give God the day's confusion and trust that He is working on it while you rest. Sleep safely, knowing God does not sleep, and He is caring for what you cannot. I do not need to have all the answers. Your presence is enough. There is tremendous freedom in recognizing that you do not need all the answers. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to have your whole life planned out. God's presence is enough. Even when you lack answers, you have Him. Even when you do not know what to do, you know who is with you. His presence is more than enough for any situation you face. Gratitude opens windows in the heart. Gratitude has transformative power. When you practice gratitude consistently, when you intentionally notice and give thanks for the blessings in your life, something shifts within you. It is like opening windows in a stuffy room. Gratitude allows fresh light and air to enter your heart. It disperses the darkness of ingratitude and discontent. Each act of gratitude opens another window, letting more light in. Simplicity clears vision. We live in a complex world, with endless options, limitless information, infinite choices. This complexity can cloud our vision, making it difficult to see what truly matters. Simplicity clears that confusion. When you simplify your life by removing the unnecessary, saying no to what does not matter, focusing on the essential, your vision becomes clear. You can see what truly matters. You gain clarity about your priorities and purpose. Kindness reorders my steps. When kindness governs your actions, when you choose to act with kindness even when it is difficult, even when it is inconvenient, something remarkable happens. Your steps are reordered. Kindness has a way of leading you to places you did not expect, of opening doors you did not know existed, of creating opportunities you could never have planned. When you walk in kindness, God rearranges your steps in surprising and wonderful ways. When solitude surrounds me, I feel your silent embrace. Solitude can be one of the most painful experiences. Even in crowds, you can feel deeply alone. But there is an embrace available. An embrace you may not see or hear, but can feel. God's silent embrace is always available. It does not depend on the presence of others. It is not affected by circumstances. It is a constant, loving, comforting embrace that you can allow yourself to feel even in the loneliest moments. If heavy memories return, I let your peace put everything in its place. Difficult memories have a way of resurfacing at the most inconvenient moments. They can arise unexpectedly, bringing all the pain and confusion you thought you had processed. When these heavy memories return, do not fight them alone. Invite God's peace to touch those memories. His peace has organizing power. It can take memories that are messy and painful and place them where they belong, where they no longer control you. where you can remember them without being overwhelmed. When my voice fails, you understand my silence. There are moments when words simply do not come. The pain is too deep to articulate. The emotion is too intense to express. The heart is too heavy to speak. In those moments of silence, God understands. You do not need to find the perfect words. You do not need to craft eloquent prayers. Your silence, full of emotion, communicates all He needs to know. He understands what you cannot say. If faith seems small, I offer the little I have and continue. Perhaps your faith does not feel impressive. Perhaps it is hesitant, questioning, full of doubt. You may look at others' faith and feel yours does not compare. But God does not measure faith by size. He measures it by authenticity. Offer the faith you have, no matter how small, and then keep walking. Keep trying. Keep trusting. Small faith in action is infinitely more powerful than great faith that remains paralyzed. If this touched you, write, "I trust," and leave your request. There is power in declaring trust. When you say aloud or write, "I trust," you are doing more than communicating a feeling. You are taking a stand. You are making a choice. You are declaring your intention. And from this place of trust, you can bring your requests, not from a place of doubt or fear, but from a place of confidence. Your requests matter. Your needs are important. God wants to hear them, so declare your trust and present your needs with confidence. I do not need to control time. It is His. What obsession we have with controlling time. We want things to happen faster. We become impatient with delays. We grow frustrated when things take longer than expected. But time is not ours to control. It belongs to God. He sees the full picture that we cannot. He knows the right moment for everything. The seasons change according to His wisdom, not our impatience. When you stop trying to control time and trust God's schedule, you find peace. The seasons change according to His wisdom. What is sown matures under His hand. There is wisdom in the seasons. Spring does not try to be summer. Winter does not apologize for not being spring. Each season has its purpose and beauty. Your life also has seasons. Some are planting seasons, where you sow without seeing much result. Others are harvest seasons, where you gather what has been sown. Trust that God knows which season you are in. What is still a seed in your life will mature under His hand at the right time. What is burden transforms into learning in His waters. The burdens you carry today may seem like dead weight, things that pull you down with no purpose. But in God's hands, even burdens can be transformed. In the waters of God's grace, what was once a heavy burden can become valuable learning. The struggles you face today may be the lessons that equip you for tomorrow. The weight you carry may be developing the strength you will need later. Trust in the transformation God can bring. When the mind complicates things, I choose short, clear words. Our minds have a tendency to overcomplicate everything. They add layers of analysis, consider every possible angle, imagine complex scenarios. Before we know it, something simple has become incredibly complicated. When you notice this happening, make a conscious choice. Use short, clear words. Simplify. Reduce to the essentials. Often, the simplest answer is the wisest. Clarity is more valuable than complexity. If irritation flares, I let the breeze of patience blow. Irritation can flare quickly, especially when we are tired, stressed, or overwhelmed. Small things that would normally not bother us suddenly feel intolerable. but there is a breeze of patience available. Imagine it literally. A cool, gentle breeze blowing over the fire of irritation, cooling it, calming it. When you invite patience in, when you pause and breathe, irritation loses its intensity. When rumors distract, I return to the center of your love. We live in an age of constant information, but not all information is true or helpful. Rumors spread. Gossip circulates. Stories are distorted. And all of this can distract us tremendously. When you find yourself distracted by rumors, gossip, or unverified information, make a choice to return to the center. The center is God's love, the unchanging truth of His character, His care for you, His faithful presence. When you return to this center, peripheral distractions lose their power. If fear threatens, I remember who guards me. Fear can make terrifying threats. It paints scary scenarios. It predicts disasters. It amplifies dangers. If you only listen to fear, you will be paralyzed. But there is something more important than what fear says. Who is guarding you? When fear makes its threats, remember your guardian. Remember how powerful He is, how faithful He is, how present He is. Fear may scream loudly, but the guardian is stronger. I do not need to wear masks. The truth sets me free. There is deep exhaustion in wearing masks, pretending to be someone you are not, hiding parts of yourself you think others would not approve of. It is exhausting to maintain a facade, but the truth sets you free. When you remove the masks, when you are authentic, when you allow people to see who you really are, yes, you become vulnerable, but you also become free. Free from the weight of pretending, free from the anxiety of being discovered, free to simply be. The care that comes from you is never late. One of our greatest fears is that the care we need will not arrive in time, that the answer to our prayer will come too late, that provision will arrive after the need has passed, that help will come when it is no longer useful. But God's care is never late. It may not arrive at the moment you would choose, but it comes exactly when it is needed. His timing is perfect. His care is punctual, even when it seems late by our clock. Trust that what you need will arrive when you need it. Your peace visits homes and hearts. God's peace is not confined to religious places. It is not limited to churches or devotional moments. It goes wherever it is invited. It visits ordinary homes, everyday hearts. Invite this peace into your home. Invite it into your heart. It will come. It will visit. And where God's peace visits, things change. Atmospheres are transformed. Relationships are softened. Hearts are calmed. Invite this peace and watch its transformative visit. Your kindness gathers what remains and opens a way. Perhaps you feel that very little is left in your life. Perhaps you have experienced so many losses, so many disappointments, so many failures, that it seems only fragments remain. But God's kindness has a special power. It can gather the fragments. It can take what remains and create something new and beautiful. And more than that, it can open a way where there seemed to be none. When you trust in God's kindness, even the remnants become raw material for miracles. When I stumble, I rise with tenderness. When you stumble, what is your first reaction? If you are like most people, it is probably harsh self-criticism. You attack yourself verbally, question your worth, perhaps even wonder why you bothered trying. But there is another option. Rise with tenderness. Treat yourself with the same gentleness you would offer a small child who has fallen. Acknowledge the stumble, but do not make it a sentence on your character. Rise gently and continue. If I lose heart, I lift my eyes and find direction. Losing heart means losing courage, losing motivation, losing a sense of purpose. It is that feeling of, I can't do this anymore. It doesn't matter. Why should I keep trying? When you lose heart, the answer is not to look inward more intensely. The answer is to lift your eyes. Look up, look beyond. Look to the source of strength and purpose outside of yourself. When you lift your eyes to God, you find direction again. You find reason to keep going. When I feel small, I remember that you are great. There are moments when you feel insignificant, inadequate, too small for the task, insufficient for the challenge. Your problems seem enormous, and you seem tiny in comparison. But remember, you don't need to be big enough. You serve a God who is infinitely great. Your smallness is not a problem when you are connected to His greatness. In fact, it is often in our smallness that God's power is most clearly demonstrated. If the wind changes, I anchor myself in your heart. Winds of change are inevitable. Circumstances change, people change, situations change, feelings change. Everything around us seems to be in constant flux. But there is an anchor available, the heart of God. His heart does not change. His love does not waver. His character remains constant. When you anchor yourself in God's heart, the winds of change may blow, but you remain steady, secure, and firm. I do not need to control what is already in your hands. How many things are you trying to control today? How many situations are you trying to manage? How many outcomes are you trying to guarantee? And how stressed is that making you? Here is the liberating truth. Most of the things you are trying to control are already in God's hands. He is already taking care of them. Your frantic effort to control is not really changing anything, except your stress levels. Acknowledge what is already in His control, and release the need to manage it all. Today I choose to trust, not to feed worries. Each day brings a series of choices. You may not be able to choose your circumstances, but you can choose your responses. And one of the most important choices is this: will you feed worries, or will you cultivate trust? Worry is like feeding an animal that devours you. The more you feed it, the bigger it grows. But when you choose to trust, when you deliberately redirect your thoughts from worry to trust, you are making a powerful choice that shapes your entire day. Today, I stay with peace, not with noise. The world is loud. There is constant noise, voices opining, news clamoring for attention, social media buzzing, messages pinging. It's easy to get caught in the noise, letting it dominate your focus and emotional state. But today, make a different choice. Stay with peace. Prioritize peace. When the noise invites you to join the chaos, gently decline and remain in peace. You don't need to tune into every loud voice. You can choose the quiet of peace instead of the clamor of noise. Today I walk lightly, not under old burdens. Are you carrying burdens that you should have let go of long ago? Burdens of past guilt, old resentments, ancient grievances, long forgiven failures? These burdens no longer belong to you. Today, make a conscious choice to walk lightly. Let go of the old burdens. You were not made to carry the past forever. Release it. Walk lightly in the present, free from the weight of years gone by. God of kindness, guard my thoughts and align my steps. Jesus, faithful companion, teach me to remain in love. Spirit who comforts, ignite silent hope within me. This is a Trinitarian prayer, acknowledging the three persons of the Trinity and inviting each to work in specific areas of our lives. We ask the Father to guard our thoughts, those anxious thoughts, those thoughts that lead us astray. We ask Him to align our steps with His purposes. We ask Jesus, our faithful companion who walked this earth and knows our struggles, to teach us to remain in love. Not just to love in moments of inspiration, but to consistently dwell in love, allowing love to be the atmosphere in which we live. And we ask the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, to ignite hope within us. Not a loud, dramatic hope, but a quiet, steady, persistent hope that burns firmly even on the darkest days. I do not need to control what God already governs. I rest. This truth deserves to be repeated, absorbed, lived. You do not need to control what God already governs. And God governs all. He is not trying to figure out how to manage the universe. He is already governing with perfect wisdom. When you recognize this deeply, you can rest. It is not lazy or irresponsible rest. It is confident rest that flows from knowing the ruler of the universe is in control, and He is good, and He loves you. My mind quiets, my heart softens, my gaze brightens. Notice what happens when you truly rest in the sovereignty of God. Your mind, which had been racing frantically, begins to quiet. The spinning thoughts slow, the mental chatter calms. Your heart, which may have hardened through disappointments, hurts, and self-preservation, begins to soften. Tenderness returns. The capacity to feel deeply is restored. Vulnerability becomes possible again, and your gaze brightens. Eyes that were dulled by worry, heavy with sadness, begin to shine again with life, hope, and possibility. If this prayer touched your heart, write Amen as a sign of faith. I pray that God guides each one of your steps today. May He open doors that no one can shut. May He protect you from all evil. May He give you wisdom in every decision. And at the end of this day, may you be able to testify of His faithfulness. If you need a special prayer, tell us in the comments. It will be an honor to pray for you. May the grace and peace of our Lord Jesus Christ always be with you. Have a blessed day. God is with you.